What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and we have received confirmation that Congress right now is going to be pushing for more stimulus provisions, more funding, more spending to help out battle this pandemic. And this is your stimulus check update, stimulus package update, and breaking news update. Now, we have heard of calls for fourth federal level stimulus checks. We've had 4 new bills for gas stimulus checks. Child tax credits are coming back to the forefront, and there's $10 billion of pandemic spending they're trying to get to help battle the pandemic at this time. We also have Build Back Better, a new 2022 reconciliation bill at Democrats' disposal. There is a lot going on. And take a look at the headlines, you guys. Since Congress got back from recess, Biden administration to renew pandemic funding push as Congress returns. Biden administration prepares to push for pandemic funding when Congress returns. Further inaction is unacceptable. And I've heard this from a lot of the Ram fam here. They're saying they have got to take action. It has been a year since the last stimulus package, and we're seeing a new wave hitting right now. And Congress must promptly provide the urgently needed funds, a White House official has said. Opinion: more pandemic funding is needed to stay ahead of this next battle, which we're hearing is hitting right now. We're going to be taking a look at the charts and some video footage here in just a second. And the White House, without funding, U.S. will lose pandemic treatments. Now, as it stands right now, take a look at the charts, you guys. New cases, 74,000, 7-day moving average at 49,000 in the last 7 days. Now, if you take a look at the last wave that happened over the winter with Omicron, it looks like we're doing better. But upon a closer look, you can see that in the last 30 days, cases are trending upward, and we are at 74,000 as of yesterday. The 7-day moving average is around 50,000. And when you take into consideration when the pandemic first started about 2 years ago, this time, we were at a significantly lower place than we are now, almost half. Now, the new variants are more transmissible, but not as deadly. But Congress is saying that if it hits and we experience something like we did with Omicron, it could cause things to get thrown out of whack because everybody could get sick at the same time once again. And they're saying right now it is the top priority to get more funding, more spending out to get ahead of this. Now, also on the other end, we have a lot of people arguing, no, we need to slow down because if we do more spending, we're going to add to debt and inflation. We got to have some pay-fors. That is the call by moderate Democrats like Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema, and Republicans. So we're going to see, because right now as it currently stands, it looks like there is not bipartisan support for more funding, but negotiations are taking place. We had heard before the recess that there were Republicans that were on board, but when it came to the floor, it looked like it was not going to go through. Now they're negotiating again right now, and we're going to be seeing what they pass. Now, I've got some video footage. Let's go ahead and take a look at these articles, though, really quickly before we dive in. But before we do, if you could do me a quick favor, just takes a second. Don't forget, smash the like button for the algorithm. If you appreciate these updates, helps me out a ton. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, don't forget, leave your comments, share this out. If this is your first time here and you like to stay up to date, I'll keep you up to date on everything going on. I know there's a lot, and any confirmation of new things coming out, I'll keep you up to date. All you got to do, totally free, smash the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. If you got any specific questions for me, I'm easy to get a hold of directly. Just hop on to Instagram, shoot me a DM at SteveRam3, and also consider joining my second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. More content coming on that channel as well. But you guys, let's take a look at these articles. So first up, this one from CNN. We are in a complicated moment in the pandemic. Pandemic infections in the United States are relatively low, and hospitalizations are near the lowest levels that they have been at this point since March of 2020, when the pandemic started. Nearly 220 million Americans are fully vaccinated, and more than 100 million are boosted as well. As such, at this moment, it can be tempting to think that the pandemic is over. Yet infections, while low, are rising again, as we saw in the charts in many parts of the country, driven by a new and more transmissible subvariant of the Omicron known as BA.2, or Omicron Stealth. There is little reason to expect that BA.2 will cause the kind of surge that we saw last winter, but it bears careful tracking. And while deaths are declining, hundreds of Americans are still dying from the pandemic each and every single day. We have a choice to make. We can wait and see what happens next, or we can use this moment as an opportunity to prepare. We can invest in the strategies that will save lives, protect our most vulnerable, keep schools open, and keep the economy going when the next surge hits. So they're saying in order for us to make progress, we got to get more funding out. We got to get ahead of this so that way this new wave, as it's starting to ramp up, we can be prepared and our economy and our society does not get thrown out of whack. Now, what we're hearing is they are doing that right now. Take a look at this article, you guys. The Biden administration will renew its push with lawmakers to secure pandemic funding this week when Congress returns from recess. A White House official told CNN, following inaction from the Senate on that $10 billion worth of funding for that package before the 2-week Easter break. Also, on top of the agenda, more aid for Ukraine. President Joe Biden announced Thursday that the U.S. will send an additional $800 million in military assistance to Ukraine as the Russian invasion soon enters its third month in what U.S. officials warn could be a potentially bloody new phase. As Congress returns from recess, the administration will be focused on working with lawmakers to secure funds to keep aid flowing to Ukrainian people and continue protecting Americans from the pandemic. And we're hearing they're working away on this. As I mentioned, stimulus packages, stimulus checks, provisions, they are all coming back to the table. Things are wrapping up as we are also in a midterm election year. And they're saying they've got to get things done. Now, you guys, let's take a look at this video footage that just came out. We're going to be covering where we currently stand as they are coming back from recess, hitting the ground running, trying to get more provisions out. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Talk to me, Josh, about this funding and the reception the White House anticipates getting in Congress.
Well, before Congress went home on that break, Katie, there was that tentative agreement announced by Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Mitt Romney, a Republican, in which the White House would have gotten pretty much everything that it had asked for, with the exception of funding to help promote global vaccinations and overseas efforts to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. But then, of course, there were still lingering issues over whether Democrats and the White House were willing to allow Republicans to essentially add something in there that would block the administration from lifting Title 42, that COVID-era restriction related to people coming over the border. And so the Congress ended up holding off on having that vote until after they came back from their 2-week recess. Now they're back, and the White House is really ramping up pressure on Congress this week for having failed so far to take action, essentially making the argument, do your job. The White House now saying that because Congress hasn't passed this funding, Americans are already feeling the consequences, having to foot the bill for testing, not enough funds for COVID treatment and other critical resources that they need as we are starting to see an uptick in cases here. So the focus by the White House, given that they don't call the shots when it comes to the power of the purse, they have to have Congress pass this funds, is to try to make it clear politically that it is Congress standing in the way of getting these funds out there so that the administration can do its job to try to provide COVID services to the rest of the country.
So there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts. We're hearing they're making progress on this, but also we saw there at the end a little bit of the blame game, and that's not going to help anybody. If we want to get this through, we have got to see them work together. Now, let me know your thoughts, you guys, but whatever unfolds here, I'll be sure to keep you up to date. We're hearing that they are making progress at this time. Just in the past 48 hours, we've heard about stimulus checks. We've heard about child tax credits. We've heard about getting rid of student loan debt, and an assortment of different provisions popping up along with more funding and pay-fors. They said by taxing billionaires to try to get more funds and not add to the debt. We will see. I will keep you up to date here on the channel. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. That is the latest. And if you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, take a quick second to smash that like button if you appreciate the updates. Helps me out a ton. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments, share this out. If this is your first time here and you like to stay up to date, totally free. All you got to do to come join is hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. You can join the Ram fam. And if you got any specific questions for me, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3, and consider joining my second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. But with that being said, you guys, once again, thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.